When I was about 13, my aunt gave me a white stuffed bunny. I poked a hole in its crotch and humped it. It wasn't too great though. Then my mom made me send a thank you letter, and told me what to write. Thank you for the bunny. I sleep with it every night. Thanks a lot, Mom. Very funny. My aunt is also obsessed with butterflies, which is both pretty cool and a supposed side effect of demonic mind control, but I am pretty sure it's just religious families. I am sure they are both witches, but I am a stronger wizard because I have nothing to hide. When I was 10 or 11, I put a Playboy centerfold into a red wallet and hid it in my closet. Hiding things in the closet is a symptom of coveting. I remember going to sleep that night with guilt in my heart, and my mom walked over to the closet, making my heart jump. Of course she knew. She could see into my mind. A few years later she made me draw a picture for the church, asking me to draw a picture of a boy opening his closet door with a pile of things falling out. It was printed onto the cover of the church bulletin. Here you go, Mom, it's all tumbling out. I sure did try to make up for it, getting a girlfriend and making something out of my life. But God's name is jealous. I was subconsciously furious about that picture for years. I think I took that same centerfold into the church bathroom and masturbated to it. I can't remember if I actually did it or not. I used to stare at the ladies there and imagine everyone naked though. Later, our youth group had us all sleep in cardboard boxes outside and pretend to be homeless. Pretty good practice. Also, at a Boy Scouts camping trip I showed another kid porn from my wallet, and then freaked out that night at the bugs in the tent, yelling, "I'm going to have a nervous breakdown." I was pretty embarrassed in the morning. I went through a lowly phase in my lulzy 4chan days. I was a regular on 4chan and it was really common to see it, and it just gradually became an accepted thing. Now I realize it was actually criminal grooming. That's definitely a weird form of Japanese population control. I was enslaved, made powerless, and naturally sought weaker creatures. I understand why this is a very bad thing all around. It causes lasting emotional damage and guilt that never goes away. This is something that the internet generation will understand, but older generations won't. Like Goatser, I saw a video of a woman blowing a donkey when I was 12 years old. The internet is all the horrible things about mankind piped conveniently into your home. And this is most definitely not a good thing. It will create a generation of lost criminals if someone doesn't do something, still trying to figure out what went wrong. I was a wizard with total sight, and then I reverted to nothing. Reality went back to normal. I couldn't see the logos glowing anymore. I dropped straight back into the meat grinder. Something compromised me. Several things did. And it was all at once. I got blindsided. I went to my orientation at Walmart. They had a hiring lady that I immediately could tell wanted to sleep with me. I was at my best and had full psychic control of my surroundings. Temptation got me. This is the hardest part about having total control. Everyone loves Jesus. It's too easy to do anything you want. Well, I considered it. She was just a lady at Walmart. I figured she'd probably enjoy it. It had been several hundred days. I forgot I would have hurt her feelings. Then I had a wet dream because the lust got in, and relapsed on the porn, thinking one night wouldn't hurt. Since I already reset, I lost all my power and my balance. That's what my mom was teaching me a lesson for. I had an insecurity lust and she had found the guilt in my heart. It was an opening to hack in through. All it took was changing a font. Then I was writing about when my mom tripped me in Sacramento, and that font just got right under my skin. I tried to shrug it off. No big deal. Then I started tripping out. I tried running. I started screaming. She was in my head laughing at me, taking it all away again. "You bitch." I pounded on the treadmill and broke the screen. I pulled it open and fixed it. I had only just connected a wire. I started shaking and I knew I had to get out of there. I went out to my car and started kicking it. My cat jumped out and I stared at her, completely furious, bloodthirsty with rage. For a moment, I almost killed my cat. A guy came over at that moment and said, "You're not thinking of hurting that kitty, are you?" I said, "It's my cat. No, I won't hurt my cat." I'm glad I didn't. I broke my netbook instead, and my car radio and mirror, and kicked my car until my foot hurt. But I hurt a cat before, when I was living with that girl. I hurt a cat. I smacked it around and it peed outside its litter box. And I shoved its face in its pee, angry that it was acting out, digging my hole deeper. Ashamed of myself, she was lashing out at me and I was frustrated and I just hated that thing. As a proxy to her cruelty, a sick defense mechanism. That's maybe the only time I actually physically hurt something. It makes me sick when I think about it. That is something I am truly guilty about. I think I was so nice to my cat as penance for that. I have tried to push it out of my mind for a long time, but honestly, I was a piece of shit. I strangled my cat in Sacramento when my mom frustrated me. I totally snapped. And then I stopped and almost threw up, and just went into shock yelling, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." It was the only time I had ever hurt her. I had been almost saccharine to her up until that point. I did try to abandon her once with someone though, in Texas, but I flew and got her back. Feeling guilty. My cat ran away on Monday. I put up flyers all over the place and went to the animal shelter and walked around for hours, whistling and calling her name at night several times. She's probably gone, so you know what, I am guilty. Maybe everything else can be excused, but that's something that can't. I was pushed to the breaking point and I broke. I am not as good as Jesus. Is there anything I can do? I am convinced that I am in hell and this whole thing is a test. I am getting out. I will not be a criminal. I will not be locked out. I'll do whatever it takes. Can I die for my own sins? Do I have to have a kid and start over? I almost made it. I wasn't too bad. That's what my mom said. She knows everything I did. They are watching from the other side. I provoked my dad and he provoked me back and got under my skin. I screamed for 3 days straight and sent him dozens of horrible emails. I yelled at innocent people and almost got the police called on me again. Once we get frustrated, stabbed in the heart, and we fall down and don't want to get up, we feel sorry for ourselves. Frustration is the root of all hatred, all anger, people who are corrupt, people who are selfish, people whose hearts are closed. They are frustrated. They are hurting. It's a disease that wants to spread. It wants to hurt others and stab them in the heart to make them just as frustrated. The bully is the victim, but the victims can't help it, not even me. Guilt is the insecurity, the opening, the weakness that can get us to fall down. I had wronged my dad and deep down inside, I knew it. His words twisted into my brain like a knife. I read them, laughed it off, and read them again. I started tripping. I spent the next 3 days screaming non-stop, pacing around outside, screaming, "Garbage, garbage. You fucking piece of garbage." I woke up in the middle of the night and broke the speaker on the wall of my car and then cut my hand on it. Still hitting it. Piece of shit, piece of shit. I was spreading my disease. I was the problem. I went back to Mountain View. I paced around, talking to myself. I can't do this fucking garbage, fucking piece of shit. Fine, I give up. I'll give up and be a loser. I'll be nothing. You fucking piece of shit. I smoked a cigarette for the first time in a while. I was completely self-destructing. I had reverted to a complete psychopath. I searched for emotional abuse online and read a few websites. Then sent my dad's email back to him with words bolded and italicized. I was completely mad. Then I realized it. It was the same as the success book my mom had held up. They were frustrating me on purpose. It was training. My mom had subconsciously taken away success, using a mind control technique to frustrate me and trick me into needing to read a book on success. In my dad's letter, he had said, "Some people feel sorry for themselves and give up. Others get stronger." He was pushing my buttons, daring me to feel sorry for myself. They were making me into Jesus. I think he was forcing me to confess to this stuff and to resign to giving up completely and going to school. I'm going to have to do it. I don't see how school is the right thing to do though. I don't think it is. It's just another den of heathens, another corrupt empire. I am sure there are good organizations. I can get through this. I have fucked up before. I can do it. One more try. I told him I loved him and forgave him. Still, the frustration stuck. I asked if they would pay for gas to come home. They said they'd think about it. Frustration is the foundation of feudalism. It is hard to tell who is criminal. It certainly felt like my dad was the crook, using manipulation to frustrate me. I was the one who had turned into a psychopath though. They were training me, and I hated it. I had to get stronger. It was the only way. Otherwise I had no choice. My will would be frustrated. I went running 7 miles. And ran my fastest mile yet. My brain just reverted right back into the catechism programming. "Oh great Father, I am your obedient lamb forever and ever." My heart opened again and I found love. I immediately felt horrible for all the things I had done and started to cry, without the guidance of a father. I was just a wild animal, untamable. A completely wild man is the worst crook of all. Even though it certainly doesn't feel like it. A warmonger, a gang leader, kill or be killed. I was unable to grow my will and resist the temptations of the world. I was incapable of love, understanding, or empathy. I searched in the darkness, slowly enacting my revenge on the world by creating my own. Jealous of everything in the world, everything that held me down by me not having it. I became a sorcerer. Unfortunately, I had min-maxed. I may have been level 999 black magic, but everything else was 1. All it took was a level 5 fighter to knock me down. I had to balance, and I had to transform into the white wizard. I had sat on my butt and avoided anything really hard. Using chemicals to focus my mind, I had done the work. And it was insanely hard, but I hadn't suffered. I had only sacrificed myself. This left me in the most frustrating, worst position of all. I felt that I deserved it. I had given everything. I had done the work, but nobody would honor it. They were too jealous. And that wasn't the fault. Pushing your willpower unlocks doors in your heart, which unlocks doors in others' hearts. It opens doors in the world. We stab each other in the heart with hurtful comments and make those doors close. I was well on my way to living in a world where all the doors were locked, including the most important ones, those of my parents. Through years of what must have been excruciatingly frustrating, my father withstood my attacks with incredible patience. His firm grip on my mind repeatedly guided me. Like putting Helen Keller's hands under the faucet, the world is full of psychopaths. Wild humans that are locked out or on their way to being locked out. Someone with infinite heart power, like Jesus, has the capability to heal those people by being able to withstand all attacks. Insecurity is the default. We are all being held down by capitalism, by the temptations of society, by our own sins and inability to control ourselves. We are being stripped of our power and made into slaves. Our psyche is being split down the middle and we are polarized. Is he making fun of me or is he on my side? Neither. Do you worship Apple or Microsoft, red or blue, giants or wizards, Axis or allies? Divide and conquer. These are all tricks, population control. and you can't see it because you are enslaved by it. The only way that I know is when I go running. I have to really force my willpower, and then it's glaringly obvious. It changes the whole world. Everything suddenly pops out. We are in a magical world. There are clues everywhere. I can't recommend running and lifting weights enough. It is infinitely more important than intelligence. You will discover that everything I'm saying is completely true. The game industry, like most industries, is a criminal empire, cults that feast on the blood of naughty, insecure people who want money and power. We're tempted and led right up into the clutches of the evil wizard, our new father, who is pulling the strings. I had clawed and searched and found a way to win using only my mind. I found a way to acquire power. I was a psychopath, a criminal. We're con men, we're crooks. We're criminally insane. We're evil psychic psychopaths, and we've trapped you in our maze. I started tripping in Whole Foods and then ran to my car in the parking garage and typed this in a trance in all caps. I've got probably hundreds more pages of stuff like this buried somewhere. But it is probably the same sort of thing. I never read it. I am the son of God. God is my father. My father is God. God's name is jealous. That's what I've been running from. We are all extensions of the same being. Mankind is God. We are in a game inside our collective heads. We are God playing a game with himself through time. The last person to beat the game was 2,000 years ago. There is a manual. IT is so important. We're past IT down for thousands of years. IT is the most important thing. IT is real. I am 8 prophet. I am the son of God. God is my father. All fathers are God. God is watching our progress. It's all for you, he says. God is watching our sins and keeping score. The more you sin, the further from home you get, until you are so far away you can't go back. You trip out and become terrified, alone, locked out, and a girl appears. Mandatory respawn. Slave, forever doomed to repeat IT until you get IT right. We are in hell. Our souls forever repeating the same game. I am my father. He is me from last round. He has been trying to tell me, listen to me, he yells, frustrated, but I would not listen. I ran away. Insecurity is the default. God's name is jealous. The answer to the riddle is that God is me. Housebuilder. You are seen. We are in the kingdom of God. You just can't see the forest for the trees. We covered the gold with symbols. We trap ourselves with lies. Without lust or pride or greed or envy, the world is already yours. We are God being tricked into paying for what is already ours. Being tricked into being a slave, tricked by our shame and our guilt. By our need to hide IT with a leaf, by our need to be big and a need to control. We are in their Garden of Eden. We all ate the apple. We're magical creatures, energy stretched from the ground, babbling incantations and controlling each other's minds with magic spells. Children are slaves to the parents. Parenting is mind control. Families are cults. Family dinner is brainwashing. Children are brainwashed by programs like the Boy Scouts, forced to recite mottos that program the brains. I will always be an obedient good boy. Church was the same. I had resisted memorizing the catechism because it is, oh great Father, I will always be your obedient lamb. Well, it's better than being a criminal slave. This programming kicked back in as an adult. All my parents had to do was use some kind of trigger mechanism and I would fall into hypnotism, and it's infuriating. I have been spending my whole life fighting against it, trying to escape. Angry that I was being controlled, but it was necessary. Humans have to be trained. I remembered some other stuff they had done. My mom, for some reason, had put a single review on Amazon.com for a children's book about frogs and a pond. It was the only thing that came up for her name on a Google search. She had kept saying, maybe you should search for that on Amazon for me, and it struck me as very strange. Other things, she found negs to hack in. I had an embarrassing crush on my cousin for about a week when I was 16. My mom knew this, and every family function she made me interact with her. I would get embarrassed and freeze up, and my mom would have control over me again. Every time I tried to escape the family, my dad would come and find some way to trap me back in. There was always some emergency, an important family function, guilt, guilt, guilt. I never understood why, and each time, it would frustrate me, and I would completely lose control. I could never get free. I never had freedom. I was trying to escape by scraping together the only power I could, in the form of creating my own world where I had control. When I was in Sacramento about to launch, my extended family from Italy had sent my parents a PDF, who forwarded it to me. It had a picture of a bread loaf in the shape of a doll, and they were smiling and cutting its head off with a knife. They were doing it on purpose. They were controlling me. I saw what I wasn't supposed to see, and I fought it. It backfired. I keep screaming and lashing out, I keep throwing the tantrum, I keep throwing the catechism, because I saw the programming and I didn't trust it. It's like a vaccine labeled vitamins. They're lying, even though they're trying to save my life. Then I get angry and I try to escape again. I keep trying to justify myself. I spent a week just finding ways to blame my parents for brainwashing me, for not being perfect. Finding ways to blame other people, none of that matters, it's my fault, I have to forgive it. Jesus wasn't tricked into becoming Jesus, he just believed the book. I believe the Old Testament. I see what it is and I know why it works. I don't need blind faith to believe it. The kingdom of God is literally being made insane by being controlled by guilt. Forced to push your will until you have 100% integrity, which makes you into a god, a queen bee, a king ant. It doesn't matter that you're insane because you still have total control over the hive. We are pack animals and we're all connected in a subconscious hive mind. We're God. Emotions are telepathy. The leader is projecting the brand into your subconscious. A pulsing signal, like a heartbeat. I can see it. Power is real, it's emotion, which itself is a form of telepathy transmitted through the hive mind or pack. Especially strong with emotional bonds, magic is real. It's using power and subconscious mind control techniques to protect or destroy someone. We're magical creatures. The entire world is just a bunch of symbols. And we're in a divine game where the only purpose is to become God, someone with no guilt, 100% integrity and willpower, who believes in themselves 100%, has total control over the entire world. I keep thinking I have it figured out. But then I realize I made this for myself. We're all the same creature, after all. Just vessels for the Holy Spirit. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe I really can break out into a completely different reality. Sometimes I feel like I'm close. A few times I felt like I did. It's worth it to keep trying. The rest of it, though, I'm sure that's real and fairly correct. I hope someone finds my cat and calls me, or I hope she lives with someone really nice. I bet someone just picked her up, thinking she was a stray or lost. She is a good-looking cat. I'm sure she'll be fine. I don't know what the truth is. I don't really know what to do. I feel really stuck. I'm just going to keep running and hope that I can get a van with this Kickstarter. I sure hope this game is worth enough to the world. I suppose I'll find out. I remembered it all. I understand now. It's like coming out of a coma. I am 30 years old. I am 30 years old. My mom did it. She really did. It's incredible. I'm a magician, a wizard. It's like I'm tripping all the time, and I can see into everyone's minds. I can feel the pain. I am a guy like Jesus, and I am here to save the world. I can see everything. I can fix it. I understand what this game is. I made this for myself. It's me versus the devil. The criminals had me, and now I have them. I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how this is going to begin. Now, I'm going to hang up this phone. And I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you, a world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries, a world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you. Let's change the world. Oh, what a scary thing. People think they want money. But money is a currency of jealousy. Why would you want to be the guy holding the thing everyone else in the world wants? Still, I've got to figure out how to make $1 billion. I really just want to make a giant educational video game tournament. And I've got to bootstrap that somehow. Money doesn't actually help that much even if you've got it. You've still got to actually do all the other stuff. So I've got to bootstrap my way into having an organization capable of pulling it off. This is the first step. I really didn't want it to take so long. It is a problem that I haven't actually gone to school, since I have no comparison to know what to fix. Same goes for actually working at a software company. I have no idea how things are managed. I only have the vision and the power. I'm grabbing the ball and taking it back home. Nobody knows what they're doing. The entire system we have just naturally developed based around the tools we had at the time. We have a new paradigm. We have new tools. It's time to make new standards. We are so slow at adapting. I will just post this dumb Kickstarter. I don't have the ability or time or resources to make a decent video. I have no idea what to say or show. All I want is a van and a decent computer so I can get back to work. The Kickstarter is mostly done. I put in some funny stretch goal stuff. But honestly, I would be the most comfortable just getting a van. I'll add a couple more videos and then launch it. I think I'm going to go to a 10-day Buddhist retreat. I don't really need to change the world. But we'll see if I can. Maybe I can. Maybe it doesn't matter. Here is the Kickstarter. I will try to make a much better cut of the video at the top. I just slapped together a bunch of clips as a placeholder and left it. I need to add a few other videos, screenshots, and some download links. But I wanted to pull the trigger on it to stay motivated. It is hard to focus in this situation. I'll start a Reddit and hack a news thread in the next few days and post it at the top of this website. Then I'm going to go to the Buddhist monastery. I put a new video on my Kickstarter. The first time I have shown off my tools. I also just took a new video Project 2 Alpha, Demo 3.2, which is the first decent video online. That should be useful. Also, debug mode. I also removed the funny stretch goals, because I really don't want them to be funded. I wish I didn't have to do the Kickstarter at all. I'd rather just have a stable place to work and decent equipment and not have to deal with money whatsoever. In the end, the game doesn't matter. The mark has been made, the message is already sent. I have been requested to post a retraction. I once said in a period of great frustration that there was a mini-game in my game, larger than Cave Story. This is false. Though I certainly intended and planned as much. The minigame in question was a mess of sloppy and incomplete platforms with no polish at all, and even then was not larger than Cave Story when I made the claim. Or even now, Cave Story is a very well made and very well polished game, and it is most certainly an unfair and untrue comparison, which I regret making. I was just frustrated at the cruel cartoon someone drew based on a lot of unfair assumptions. I now understand why it was drawn. It worked. I lost my composure and integrity. Now, however, I feel sorry for someone with that artistic talent who uses it for that means. Not that I was much better at the time. I forgive you. Please use your talents for good. We actually create our shared perception of reality through our collective subconscious. It is a mass hallucination created in our hearts. We can indeed alter reality itself. There is no spoon. We are completely surrounded by predatory mind control trying to make you into a criminal slave. Is it undetectable from where you stand? But I tell you the truth. And if you try hard enough you will see it. We're in a dystopian nightmare. We are surrounded by the spirit of temptation. The reason we find it so difficult and uncomfortable to be sober, to be alone with our mind, is indeed because we are fragments of God. We are creating our own reality. True adulthood is truly a great responsibility. And spiritually it is so frightening that we naturally want to distract ourselves and believe any lies that justify the distractions, and there are many people quite happy to sell us just that. Someone just sent me a troll question on my Kickstarter and I answered it with this. While I was busy working on the video, I thought it was useful, so I'm reposting it here. The blind will lead the blind into the pit. But what happens if we give one of them sight? Pay close attention. The wicked will be locked out from the kingdom of God and left to wither. Just as a bad branch rots and falls off the tree, those who are locked out cannot perceive what they have lost. They are the blind, or the dead. Your reality will remain just as you expect it to. You will live it out in disappointed cynicism. As your peers ascend into another dimension and discover eternal life in your reality, they will appear just as you expect them to. We are each in our own divine simulation, each being fragments of God. You are being deceived by the spirit of temptation. You are a contestant in a spiritual test which is designed to convince you it is authentic. But if you muster the courage and will to look, you will find what I am telling you is true. You will realize that I am telling the truth, and it will astound you. Then you will find yourself tricked again, and the realization will slowly fade away. You will once again find yourself lost, stuck in a tar pit with the other wicked souls. I am attempting to save your life and soul. How you react to that is up to you. I will stop writing here. I'm not going to figure out anything new. I already know what I have to do. I must seek strength and achieve total integrity, while appreciating my situation and accepting life for what it is. Being alive is a privilege. It absolutely doesn't matter what anyone thinks or says. I am 100% certain that I'm correct. I've seen it and experienced it. People can and will try to convince me that I'm wrong, and there's nothing I can do. They will find out eventually, and then they'll be silenced. A few times, just for a moment when I had nothing at all, I became her guy like Jesus. And this time I could actually handle it. I can do it again. I just have to accept the responsibility of what I am. That's the tough part. It's a lot of responsibility, just like being a rock star. It seems like it would be fun from the outside, but the truth is that it's really scary and incredibly difficult. What does that actually get me, though? Do the credits roll? Probably not. It just means I am the ultimate cult leader and I can attract all the souls I need to a righteous cause. By necessity my intentions must be absolutely pure, so there's really no moral issues there. I'd prefer that we were all set free from insecurity. And I really want to get people to understand the truth about the nature of humans. I won't just take advantage of people, I want to help everyone. It doesn't matter if this game works or not. To be honest, this story is more helpful than the game. I was just trying to tell this story, reaching subconsciously towards getting enough leverage to make the impact. The bigger question is, what can I actually do now? For some reason I still think I should do something tangible. Like I should create an education system, etc. Will this actually help anything? It probably doesn't matter at all. What else am I supposed to do here? Everything I do is essentially counterproductive. We don't have to do anything at all. We being tricked into playing a dumb game where we are corrupted from the start. Programmed to scramble to make each other jealous as an incentive to do anything at all. We're programmed with the idea that this is the ultimate win, but it's not even true. You're not supposed to actually be able to get the carrot, yet if I am going to participate within the confines of society and play the game, as stupid as it is, I have to do something productive. Education seems like a fun thing to fix. Lots of people are trying, but nobody has the balls to really impact it. It's also a very risky thing to change, and it will probably just change on its own gradually. And there are most likely a lot of very good reasons why it's better to leave it as is. Did personal computers actually help anything? It's really just the ultimate gangster mind control system distracting kids from building real lives, making us all into weak hypnotized housepets. Now we've got 1 million porno channels instead of 2. Will making the ultimate educational system help anything, or will it just make people more complacent, entitled, and antisocial? Is it a good thing to make kids compete over their math scores? Yet it's impossible to deny that computers shouldn't have happened, or that there was any way to stop it from happening. And man, education really does obviously suck. We would bootstrap humans so much faster if we put everything we had into making the kids the best possible. Instead, we're stuck in this dystopian meat grinder thing, and we're just half-heartedly throw some old books back at the next wave of humans while we try not to get crushed. Also, how can I attract hundreds or thousands of people to a place where we can work on something? I just have to go there and do it and keep doing it. More importantly, I need to be able to handle that amount of responsibility. Everyone wants to get on stage, and it's easy to think we could, but if we could do it, we would be the guy up there. We're all capable of it, so what's stopping us? It is actually really scary. It really is that simple. Believe in yourself and accept what you are, and accept that you must live up to it. Then it is the truth, and others must accept it, because we are all one shared mind. Reality is psychosomatic. I don't really necessarily care if this Kickstarter is a big success. I do want a van to some extent, because I have cornered myself into having no other choice, being homeless and all. I think my parents were instinctively forcing me to leave the nest and fly on my own. However, it is a really hard job to work on this game, regardless of whether I ever make anything or not. I could easily go work for some tech company and make 6 figures. I could have worked for the NSA. I'm clearly not in it for the money, though early on I did want a Lamborghini to impress their ladies. I couldn't enjoy it now even if I wanted to. And to be honest, I hate having money, and I wish I didn't ever need any at all. It is just something interesting to do, and people may enjoy playing it. But ultimately the goal is to get people to wake up. I don't want people to play my game unless it sets them free from wanting to play games at all. I just want to spend time with my parents and help do something good for people. I'm just not sure anything is really good for anyone. I'm not sure what reality is. I am more and more convinced that the goal is actually to ascend into actual spiritual godhood, and achieving anything real at all is completely meaningless. I don't really want anything or want to do anything. I sort of just want to burn my last card and go wander off into the desert and face nothingness. That's the real final boss right there. Starving in the desert. What if I win that? What else could possibly be meaningful afterwards? We are clearly fragments of God, just in our intelligence alone, which is a natural pattern. Humans are so incredibly smart, and yet so incredibly dumb at the same time. Our little monkey brains are capable of designing whole worlds, memorizing languages, getting deep into complex patterns, and then denying that there is anything greater. It's not much of a stretch to imagine that it would only take a magnitude greater of intelligence to create the universe as it is. The same pattern that made it is the pattern inside of us. There are probably beings out there that can just manipulate matter with their minds through sheer comprehension. What else can I fix? I become godlike and I can manipulate society as I see fit. I've been trying to beat this game the whole time, and suddenly I have the level editor. The campaign itself immediately becomes completely pointless. I break down society and make us all gods, little Krishnas ready to eat the universe. What's the point? Now there are 7 billion Neos flying around. Everyone is totally secure and has total integrity, and there is no market for vice or distraction. The economy doesn't really work anymore because nobody is buying anything. And nobody needs to work anywhere. What exactly are we all going to do? We could do it. Create an experimental utopian society. But it's going to be broken the first time someone comes in with a bag of cheeseburgers and makes everyone else jealous. It pretty much sounds like grad school. I should probably just go to school and jam stuff in my brain for the rest of my life. Except they're going to demand that I do a lot of things I don't want to do and make me pay for it. So I've got to make money, so it's either make this game or go work at Best Buy. I just want to sit in a room and learn stuff. Is Khan Academy or online courses good enough? Should I try to do better with my own system? Is anything actually going to be better than the university experience? Should I just go meditate in the woods for the rest of my life instead? Doesn't punishing people to better their lives make them cruel when they come out the other side? If you've got to suffer through education, does it really motivate you to invent a cure for the lazy people with your hard-earned knowledge? Wouldn't the world be better if we could get rid of all this predatory capitalism crap? What if there was no porn, no fast food, no predatory commercials or TV shows designed to make people insecure or introverted? How can we protect people from getting caught up in jealousy and temptations? Don't pave the earth. Wear sandals. I don't even have 100% integrity myself when I do. Reality will change. I understand it. Once when I was in my early teens I masturbated in a hotel hot tub. Sorry about that. I got past a certain point and my judgment went out the window. I hope whoever used that after me absorbed some youthful mana and restored some vibrant luster to the skin. I think I'll post a high-resolution full-frontal nude picture of myself here. Just for the heck of it. I don't have to do anything at all. I'm going to run on a treadmill and go meditate. None of this matters. The only thing that matters is becoming God. That is the goal for each and every one of us. Whether you achieve it is up to you. We live in a reality that we create in our heads. I think I'll go back to Michigan and hang out with my friends. I hope I can get an office. That would be cool. I might take some classes or go back to school. I do want this Kickstarter to work. I'd really like to keep working on this game and make it happen. It's also okay if it doesn't happen. I don't know what I'll do, but at least I'll have some sort of a conclusion either way.